What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the pod. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler, and you can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Tuesday, June 3rd. We'll start it off, as always, with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league, kicking things off with the bad news, as closing pitcher Luke Weaver was officially placed on the 15-day IL with a hamstring strain. Unfortunate. In a corresponding move, Fernando Cruz was recalled or was activated from the 15-day IL. He's been out for the past couple of weeks with shoulder inflammation, but it looks like Devin Williams will fill in as the Yankees closer with Luke Weaver on the IL with a hamstring strain. Next, we have third baseman Mark Vientos, who was placed on the 10-day IL with a hamstring strain as well. Vientos was the Mets third baseman prior to the injury, and in a corresponding move, Ronnie Mauricio was recalled for the minors, and he's expected to platoon at the hot corner with Brett Beatty to fill in for Vientos while he recovers from this hamstring strain. Next, we have starting pitcher Max Meyer, who was placed on the 15-day IL with a hip impingement. Very unfortunate, but apparently he's been dealing with this injury for a few starts. Sort of makes sense because Meyer has not been great recently, so that makes sense that the injury was probably affecting him through those struggles. George Soriano was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move, but a rotational replacement is yet to be named. It's likely to be one of Adam Mazur, Anthony Veneziano, or Connor Gillespie. Next, we have starting pitcher Tanner Gordon, who was placed on the 15-day IL with an oblique strain. He's been pitching for the Rockies. In a corresponding move, starting pitcher Chase Dollander was activated from the 15-day IL to start in Miami. He had been out with forearm inflammation, and in his return, he threw just 59 pitches, tossing 3 innings, allowing 2 hits and 2 earned runs, walking 3 while striking out 1, inducing 5 whiffs with 19% CSW. So not the best return for Dollander, but he was clearly on a pitch count. Should be a little bit better moving forward, but keep your expectations low when it comes to Dollander. Next, we have starting pitcher Jonathan Cannon, who was placed on the 15-day IL with a lower back strain. Caleb Freeman was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move, but it looks like maybe Bryce Wilson will return from the bullpen to the rotation to replace Cannon until he returns from the IL. And lastly, starting pitcher Corbin Burns was placed on the 15-day IL with elbow inflammation. He's also seeking a second opinion on his elbow, so not the best news here with Corbin Burns. Now it seems like Tommy John surgery is looming, but fingers crossed here with Burns. Tommy Henry was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move. Now we'll take a look at our transactions as second baseman Andres Jimenez was activated from the 10-day IL. He had been out with a quad strain and should be the Blue Jays' everyday second baseman moving forward. In a corresponding move, Michael Stefanik was designated for assignment. Next, we have outfielder Evan Carter, who was activated from the 10-day IL. He had been out with a quad strain, and it looks like he's going to be on the strong side of a center field platoon for the Rangers. That's Evan Carter. Next, we have starting pitcher Ryan Bergert, who is the Padres' number 21 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline, and he was recalled from the minors to make his first career start. He pitched out of the bullpen a little bit earlier this year, but he's been strictly a starter in the minors and made his first career start in San Francisco on Tuesday, tossing 5 innings, allowing 6 hits with 2 earned runs and 2 walks, while striking out 2, inducing 8 whiffs with 22% CSW across 83 pitches. So pretty solid there from Bergert in his first career start. Next, we have second baseman Nick Gonzalez, who was activated from the 60-day IL. He's been out since late May with a fractured ankle, and he will return to being the Pirates' everyday second baseman. Nick Solak was outrighted to the minors in a corresponding move to make room for Gonzalez's return. And next, we have second baseman Jazz Chisholm Jr., who was activated from the 10-day IL. He had been out for a month with an oblique strain, and he homered in his return. And it looks like Jazz is going to shift to the hot corner with DJ LeMahieu entrenched at the keystone position for the Yankees. Jorge Vivas was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move to make room for Chisholm's return. And lastly, first baseman Jack Caglione was promoted for his MLB debut. He wasn't great in his debut, but he did hit the ball hard. It looks like he's going to be on the strong side of a DH platoon in Kansas City. And just to remind you, Caglione is Kansas City's number 1 prospect and the number 10 prospect in baseball. He was the 6th overall pick in 2024, and he's torn up AA and AAA this year, batting .323 with 15 homers and a 161 WRC+, all supported by a 60% hard hit rate. That's Jack Caglione. finally in the majors. In a corresponding move, Dairon Blanco was optioned to the minors. And in terms of news, starting pitcher Sawyer Gipson-Long is expected to be activated from the 60-day IL today to start in Chicago. Gipson-Long has been out for a long time with Tommy John surgery, and he is one of Nick's offseason sleepers, so hoping he can get off to a hot start here with a soft landing against the White Sox. Next, we have starting pitcher Cole Ragans, who is expected to be activated from the 15-day IL tomorrow to start in St. Louis. Cole Ragans has been out with a groin strain, so looking forward to his return. And lastly, first baseman Nick Kurtz, who's been out with a hip flexor strain, is expected to be activated first eligible from the 10-day IL next Monday. He should reclaim everyday first base duties for the A's. Now we'll take a look at our notable performances from Tuesday, a day in which we had a full slate of 15 games. We'll start it off with our hitters, leading off with first baseman Michael Busch, who helped the Cubs to a win in our nation's capital, going 3 for 4 with 2 runs, a triple, a home run, and 3 runs batted in. He added a walk for good measure. Busch's homer traveled 410 feet at 109 miles per hour, and he appears to be picking right up where he left off last year. Only this year, he's not looking mid. He's been chasing less, leading to a career low 24% strikeout rate and a big improvement to his already solid batted ball metrics, as Busch sporting a 14% barrel rate and a 48% hard hit rate, which fully support his current 276 batting average and 895 OPS. Busch's platooning has also helped Busch remain consistent at the plate, and I honestly think he needs to be rostered everywhere, as he's clearly a very good all-around hitter in one of baseball's best lineups. That's Michael Busch. Next, we have outfielder Nick Lofton, who helped the Royals to win in St. Louis, going 1 for 4 with a run, a home run, and an RBI. Was his first homer of the year, and it traveled 385 feet at 101 miles per hour. The 32nd overall pick in 2020, Lofton has failed to take off as expected, but he is looking to take advantage of an everyday role at the age of 26. The right-handed hitter was unique at AAA this year, batting .295 with 4 homers and 12 steals, but his 150 WRC plus was really propped up by a 21% walk rate that dwarfed his 12% strikeout rate. And you guys know I love guys like this. Players who walk more than they strike out really get me going, because I'm a big points league guy. And honestly, if Lofton can carry over even a shade of that impressive plate approach to the big leagues, I'm very interested, especially in points leagues. We'll have to see how he improves on his ability to impact the ball, because Lofton has not been a really big power hitter, but with speed and contact to go with his newfound discipline, Lofton could start making waves in the fantasy community soon. And lastly, utility man Willie Castro helped the Twins to a win against the A's in Sacramento, going 2 for 4 with 2 runs, 2 homers, 2 RBIs, and a walk. His first homer traveled 395 feet at 106 miles per hour, and the second one went 381 feet at 105 miles per hour. Castro is up to 6 homers on the season now, and he's finding his way into the lineup any way he can, appearing at all 3 outfield spots and 3 infield spots, while continuing to display his offensive consistency. If you go look at Castro's Fangraphs, he's been so consistent in the WRC plus and batting average departments. He's just the same hitter every single year. I don't think we'll see him get back to stealing 30 plus bases, but he's made up for it by improving his batted ball quality to tap into more power and to support his batting average. Castro won't ever be a standout in any category, but his across-the-board production and positional versatility makes him a must roster in the majority of leagues. He's sort of fringe in standard leagues, but he acts as a glue guy with that positional flexibility. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Tuesday, check out the Daily Batters Box article over on PitcherList.com. And now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with Landon Rupp, who did all he could, but the Giants lost versus the Padres. Rupp tossed 6 1/3 shutout innings, allowing 4 hits and 2 walks while striking out 5. He induced 13 whiffs with 32% CSW across 92 pitches, and Rupp cooked in this one. Sinkers landed in the zone to steal 10 called strikes. Curveballs stayed low in the zone for 32% CSW, while his changeup showed up with perfect execution against lefties, inducing 8 whiffs. Rupp continues to roll through a successful sophomore campaign with a 3.18 ERA and 1.38 WHIP on the season, but across his last 6 starts, he's pitched to a 1.39 ERA, and Rupp needs to be rostered everywhere, even with Coors Field up next. It's really not been that scary this year. The Rockies are really bad. Next, we have Lance McCullers Jr., who helped the Astros to a win in Pittsburgh, tossing 6 shutout innings, allowing 2 hits and 1 walk while striking out 7. He induced 9 whiffs with 30% CSW across 96 pitches, and our streaming pick of the day came through big time. McCullers went almost exclusively sinker slider against righties, and he got away with a ton of sinkers down the pipe. But the slider came through with 4 whiffs and 32% CSW, while a trio of secondaries ate up left-handed batters, namely the changeup, which returned 4 whiffs and 39% CSW, while he used his curveball to steal 6 called strikes on just 16 thrown. This wasn't really peak McCullers. You can see in the 9 whiffs where all of his pitches are working, but the Pirates were a soft landing spot, and so that really helped him have a successful start here. I wouldn't get too comfortable with McCullers. He's been the poster boy for cherry bombs, somebody who has outings like this where he's really good and then he comes out next time and gives up 7 earned runs in 2 innings. But I think I'm good with streaming McCullers in Cleveland next. And lastly, we have Jacob Lopez, who did all he could, but the A's lost to the Twins. He was the bulk reliever after Grant Holman opened for 4 outs. Lopez came in and tossed 4 1/3 innings, allowing 5 hits and 5 earned runs while walking 1 and striking out 9, but he induced 17 whiffs with 30% CSW across 96 pitches. And Lopez is going under the radar due to his weird role on the A's and honestly, probably his lack of success as well. 7.20 ERA, 1.75 whip across 20 innings thus far. He's also gone in and out of the bullpen, but he's clearly a starter in the organization's eyes. And he's got some really good, really interesting stuff. Lopez has 7.1 feet of extension and 0.7 Hava on his fastball. And at 90 miles per hour, those characteristics on the fastball definitely help it play well above its velocity. It lived arm side and upstairs on Tuesday, inducing 5 whiffs and 33% CSW, but it only landed for 58% strikes as he failed to keep it in the zone. Lopez made up for the lack of strikes with his cutter that returned 76% strikes and 4 whiffs, while his slider was his main whiff pitch downstairs, returning 6 swings and misses for 32% CSW. He even tried incorporating some changeups against a righty-heavy lineup, and Lopez is funky, which gives him a surprise strikeout ceiling like we saw here, 9 strikeouts in just 4 1/3 innings. His control, though, is not good, but the cutter sort of steps in as a consistent offering for strikes to make up for the fastball when it's not there. I think I'm going to start taking a chance in deeper leagues. I didn't realize how interesting his stuff was. It's not overwhelming, but he's funky, and I think he's got a higher strikeout ceiling than you'd expect from somebody with his stuff. Lopez gets the Angels in Anaheim next, and like I said, I'm going to take the chance in deeper leagues. But if you'd like a breakdown of every single start from Tuesday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves. Starting with the former, Jeremiah Estrada recorded his 2nd save with a perfect 10th. Robert Suarez had pitched on back-to-back days, so Estrada was filling in. Josh Hader recorded his 16th save with a perfect 9th. Devin Williams is up to 6 saves as he worked around a run while filling in for Luke Weaver. Reed Detmers recorded his 1st save with a perfect 9th. Kenley Jansen pitched a hitless 9th in a tie game and earned his 1st win when the Angels took that game. Carlos Estevez is up to 17 saves after his scoreless 9th. Seth Halverson pitched a perfect 9th to earn his 3rd save. Zach Agnos had pitched on back-to-back days and is now currently on the bereavement list. And lastly, Emilio Pagan is up to 15 saves now after his perfect 9th on Tuesday. And in terms of closers to pitch outside of safe situations or blow their saves, Tanner Scott pitched a perfect 10th and earned his 1st win when the Dodgers walked it off in the bottom half. Camilo Doval blew his 3rd save, allowing 2 runs on 2 hits and 2 walks, and the Giants would go on to lose that one in 10 innings. Aroldis Chapman pitched a perfect 9th in the tie game, but the Red Sox would lose in 10 innings. Pete Fairbanks pitched a perfect 9th with a 4-run lead. The Rays tacked on an insurance run in the 8th and still decided to send him out there. He hadn't pitched in over a week, so it sort of makes sense anyway. And lastly, Felix Bautista pitched a perfect 9th up by 4. The Orioles put up 2 insurance runs in the top of the 9th and still decided to send Bautista out there anyway. But if you'd like more information on relief pitchers, check out Rick Graham's weekly articles over on pitcherlist.com. And before we look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. Now we'll look forward to Wednesday, June 4th, a day in which we'll have a full slate of 15 games. My matchup of the day is Mackenzie Gore versus Matthew Boyd. We got two Southpaws. Should be a fun matchup. I got Boyd in my home league too, so I'll be rooting hard for that one. Pretty sure my brother, who's also in my home league, has Gore, so we'll be squaring off in that one. In terms of probable starters, we've got 5 guys in the auto starts tier, including both Gore and Boyd. We've also got Chris Sale versus the Diamondbacks, Nick Pivetta in San Francisco, and Andrew Abbott versus the Brewers. In our probably starts tier, we've got 7 guys, and that's where we'll find our streamer of the day in Kyle Harrison versus the Padres. He's got a new look fastball this year, higher velocity, better hava, better shape overall. And Harrison is somebody who went to high school right by my house. So pretty interesting. I would say I'm a fan of his. Excited to see what he can do against the Padres. I'd also keep an eye out for Lucas Giolito against the Angels. He's been really up and down this year, but I love what Giolito does when he's got everything cooking. Maybe a little bit harder against a righty heavy Angels lineup, but I'm still starting Giolito in my home league. In terms of hitter suggestions, I would probably look at Jorge Soler versus Lucas Giolito in Fenway. Soler has had a lot of success against him, batting .269 with 3 homers and a .1079 OPS in 26 at-bats. That's Soler versus Giolito. I'd also look at Jonathan India versus Miles Mikolas in Busch Stadium. He's batted .320 with 3 homers and an 1113 OPS in 25 at-bats versus Mikolas. That's Jonathan India. I'd also look at Mickey Moniak, who's taking on Cal Quantrill in Miami. Moniak has batted .571 with a pair of homers and just 7 at-bats versus Quantrill, but we saw that strategy pay off as we streamed. I almost used the past participle of stream as stream. That was very close and still embarrassed myself explaining it to you anyway. Nonetheless, we streamed Kerry Carpenter a couple days ago based off this similar knowledge, and he came through with a trio of homers. So maybe Moniak does the same tomorrow. I'll honestly feel like a god if he does. I'd also look at Nick Castellanos versus Jose Barrios in Rogers Center. Castellanos has batted .381 with 1 homer and a .952 OPS in 21 at-bats against Jose Barrios. That's Nick Castellanos. And now we'll close things out with our relievers to watch. Devin Williams has pitched on 3 of the past 4 days, so we could see Fernando Cruz take a save opportunity for the Yankees on Tuesday. Kenley Jansen has pitched on back-to-back days, so Ryan Zefferjon likely gets a save on Tuesday if the Angels have the opportunity. Seth Halverson has pitched on back-to-back days, so Jake Bird should fill in for the Rockies. And lastly, Tanner Scott has pitched on back-to-back days, so Alex Vesia is likely the Dodgers' temporary closer on Wednesday. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler. Tune in live on YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast. And make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.